Welcome to Big Boy Crypto, the people's channel, home of the best, the largest and greatest crypto community in all of the interwebs. And I'm going to grab the mic like I'm Michael Buffer. My name is DZ. You catch me at NFT Alpha Show, where we always bring you that NFT Alpha. And this is Around the Blockchain. We come to you Monday through Friday at 5:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We had to scramble around to get some guests, but we're going to talk about your favorite topics. And today, after the scrambling, this will be the best panel we've ever had in the history of the show. Before it was going to be the second best, but now it is officially the best panel ever. We're going to start right there on the top right. You know what? He wants he wants chain analysis to know he is not the hacker. That's right. We're talking about Crypto Factor. Then on the bottom right, he was making them stacks with wax before NFTs were cool. We're talking about Crypto Stache, of course. Then on the bottom left, some know him as Taco, some know him as the Crypto Ginger. Some know him as Ginger Burrito. Some know him as the Crypto Viking. We're talking to Brady Derrick, Taco, as we know him around the office. Then on the top left, he wants you to stack them biddies while he's living in the Sin City. We're talking about Sin City Crypto. Ran into him at Miami, and just quick story. It was funny. You were following. Who was it? Was it Kevin O'Leary? It was at Michael. It was a big name. Max Kaiser. That's who it was. Okay. Whoa, going back a few years.
Like, you got a minute? I was like, you got a minute? He was like, can you walk and talk? Can you walk and talk?
Yeah.
I was like, why not? Let's go.
Yeah, it was a nice Aaron Sorkin scene. You know, it was like a West Wing scene or something. But yeah, we're going to be talking about $2 billion in Bitcoin pulled off exchanges. Are the whales finally start to gobble up that Bitcoin? Then we got a tornado cash little story. We're not talking about the twister. We're talking about people trying to hide that crypto. And what does it mean? You know, is they shutting it down? Is the government stepping in? We're going to find out. And then Sega. We're talking about Sega's super game trying to maybe make a Ready Player One style metaverse. Can Sega dethrone the Zuck? That's going to be remain to the scene. So I know I'm bullish on Sega, even though I was a Super Nintendo fanboy back in the day. But can't hate on Sega. But before we get into that, we have to check out the crypto market and what is going on. And seems like we're slightly green. I kind of want to refresh, just make sure this is the freshest data. Yeah, we're up. We're above 40,000. Ethereum above 3,000. We've been fighting with these levels. We've been going above, going below, trying to bounce off. Is it support? Is it resistance? I'm going to take it to you, Sin City Crypto. What is going on with Bitcoin, and what is up with the $40,000 level? Will we see 42? Will we see 44? Will we see 38?
You know, we've been trading in this this narrow range here between about 36,000 and 48,000. So here I've mapped out a huge bear flag. So this started back in November. We've been straight in a downward trend, but we are seeing higher highs and higher lows here through this channel. But typically with these bear flags, they do break to the downside more times than not. So we're at this key resistance point right here. So this 40,000, where we go from here will more or less indicate where we're going to go in the market in the short to midterm. So I do have, if we do break to the downside here, if we come into Monday, we're under 40,000. I do think we're going to be testing even old support resistance levels starting at 36,000. And then if we fall under that, I mean, we could easily be testing this $30,000 range. I've been in the camp for a while that we the ultimate support for Sin City Crypto here. I think we're not going to see under 30,000 anymore. So I think if we do hit under 30,000, it'll be maybe 1 day, 2 days, but I don't think we're going to trade there significantly. I think there's just too much buying pressure. If you take a look at the order books, just tons of limit buys around the low 30,000 range. So not to mention, Michael Saylor will probably sell his Maybachs and or yachts, or that nice wooden ship in the background he has in all his videos, to buy some more Bitcoin. So
yeah, he will definitely liquidate. He'll liquidate his black T-shirt collection 100%. I know he definitely will on that. And I actually agree with you. I don't see, before I didn't see us going below 28.5, 29. I feel like that is baked in, and people are slowly moving those buy orders up to 30, up to 31, all the way up to 33. And hey, I called the November top, 6-7 months before, maybe even pushing 9 months before the November top. I said the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I was off by 2 weeks, so maybe
why don't you
maybe
make an
me
NFT
and Sin City. Maybe we're
Why
striking.
don't you make an NFT out of that video of you calling the top? Just make a clip out of that and NFT it, you know?
Well, I just thought the top was going to be, baked in. It wasn't going to be December. It was going to be baked into November. And I thought we were going to have a scam pump leading into Thanksgiving. You're going to tell your uncle at the dinner table. And that was going to be, sell on a Wednesday news there. But yeah, let's continue talking about this Bitcoin. We have a whole lot being drained off of exchanges here. This is from Glassnode, all, based off what is happening on chain. We're looking at the actual numbers here. $2 billion worth of Bitcoin has been removed in the last 24 hours. It was a few hours ago. So in the last 30 hours, over $2 billion is removed. This is not including OTC, not including over the counter, but we're seeing a huge net flow of, negative Bitcoin being removed here. $1 billion was put on, $2 billion was moved off. We're seeing a net loss of $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. So huge, large outflows. People thinking this is investors, institutions, whales. So major players are making move and pulling this Bitcoin, pulling the corn off of the field here. Now, Factor, we keep getting this bullish news. We keep hearing good things, but the price just doesn't want to move. What is going on? What will it take? Why isn't the good news moving Bitcoin's price seemingly ever?
Well, first of all, the price not moving could actually be that this wants to go down, but it's not letting it go down. The only other thing that could happen if you have good news and it's not going to the upside, then that would be a sign, one of the signs of a bear market, right, and continuation. But the way I see it, it's not that it doesn't want to move up, it's that it doesn't want to move down. I mean, think about it. We've been talking about this for a while. We've been talking about this a few weeks ago as well. When it was supposed to go down lower, I said, nah, this is an anomaly in the chart. It's not going to go down lower. So at least that's what's been happening up to now. Now, as for this, the pullment of exchanges, that could be accumulation of whales. But I do believe, and I'm not sure if there's on-chain metrics on this, but I do believe a lot of that is going to self-custody wallets, like private wallets. Why? We heard recently that Bitstamp, European exchange, said or that they will have to do further KYC. But the problem was they froze people's transactions. What a lot of people don't know that the Bitstamp is just the first one. Coin Metro, where I was head of marketing a few months ago, last year, actually also did the same thing, with the only difference is they have a time limit to get their money out, and once they do KYC, then they can move their money out, crypto out again. And this is an indication that more exchanges are going to follow. So whether they're in the know, or whether they've just saw that, or whether that spooked them out, or whether people want to play it safe, that has to be a big part of it. Again, I'm not sure about on-chain metrics. I'm not expertise on it, but I would love to know if we can verify that these are European accounts that a lot of that is going out to.
All right, now Taco, when it comes to speaking of these on-chain metrics, we see $2 billion being moved off of exchanges. Do you think that's a bullish event worthy of maybe probably moving the action or drumming up excitement here?
Thanks again for having me on. Yeah, I definitely think that's bullish because it's less money on exchanges. The supply is going down. They have to keep reserves up, and I mean, it looks like all these big players are trying to get this cheap Bitcoin, and that's what they're doing. I saw last night, I was watching just crypto YouTube. It looks like steadily for the past few months on these major exchanges, the supplies have been going down, and on Binance, they've actually been going up. So it looks like the whales are using Binance more, but then recently the outflows on Binance are starting to go down. So I think it's bullish for the whole market. Liquidity is it's being pulled away from the exchanges where the spot market is.
All right, now Stache, you've been around. You know what's going on. You've got your ears to the streets, not just NFTs. Old school Bitcoin accumulator here. What is it going to take to receive some positive price action on Bitcoin? What would it take to make you bullish? Is it going to be a particular price target that we finally hit? Is it going to be a geopolitical event? Is it going to be, the amount that is left on supplies? What will it take to make Stache uber bullish?
First off, man, do you see this mustache? I am
Stache.
perma bowl all of the time. You
Perma
know how
stache.
I roll. DZ, damn you for asking me that question. But when it comes to what is it going to take, I think it's going to kind of take probably a combination of all those things. That's what it always is. That's when people are like, why isn't this one good piece of news moving the meter? And then it's a week or two go by, and there's another good piece of move. I think it's going to take a combination of a bunch of things. We do have to have our time in the bear market. We have to have our time in the downtrend market. It's just part of the cycle flow. And I think that, whales aside and people trying to manipulate the market, I think that we're not seeing, these combinations coming together. So whereas we may have some good news, we're not seeing retail investors, being excited. There's no euphoria that's being built around this. When we talk about, this like, $2 billion worth of Bitcoin being pulled off exchanges, that's a good thing in general. What I'm hoping is that is from everyone who was just at Bitcoin Miami and they realize like, why? No, I need to have this Bitcoin in my own wallet. Don't keep it on a centralized exchange. They're learning, they're growing as retail investors. And that's why I'm hoping that's what it is. It's probably not that. But if you guys are watching, you don't have your Bitcoin, you're sitting on long-term in your own wallet and it's not on a third party, definitely get it in there now.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think it's stash that crypto, man. But I think it's going to be a combination of these. I think we have to have a multifaceted storm. I don't think it can be just one good news. Okay, great, some Bitcoin's being pulled. Okay, great, this is happening. It needs to be a combination of both these things, and the timing has to be right. Bitcoin is all about timing and riding that market, and not any one thing really is going to move it at this point. We're past those days. We're past those days where one good news article is going to make a huge speculative pump. Oh, there's too many people invested. There's too much going on. There's too much at stake. There's too much money and value for one simple little thing to be able to move that needle. It has to be a combination, and we just haven't seen that perfect storm here in the last couple of months. Are we going to see it soon? I honestly don't think so. I think we're just going to be bouncing around here for a little while. But I will say I agree with Sin City Crypto. I don't see us going below 30,000 ever again. I said that multiple times when people were calling sub 30,000 with this last big drop we had. I didn't think it was. I was like, it's not happening. It's not going to go past 30, and I don't think it's going to happen here anytime soon. So
yeah, I agree with that. I would go ahead.
I love that bullish. I love that bullish narrative, man. I just want to say that I see your stash is forming a inverse head and shoulders pattern, which we all know breaks to the upside. So I like the spirit. I like the tenacity. Let's go.
Break it to the upside.
Yeah,
baby.
and on that note, Stache, I largely agree. I don't think there's any Elon tweet with Tesla is on our balance sheet. That's probably the last one piece of news. Totally moved the market. I think maybe two left. I think Apple or Google or U.S. Department Treasury puts it on.
But when that news broke, but when that news broke, we were already in the midst of a
we were already
there was
very,
already
very
euphoria.
bullish.
There was already retail excitement, and we don't have that. So it was a combination of those two things.
Frothy market. Frothy market.
Exactly.
You could say it was a whirlwind, and that brings us to our next topic: the tornado cash. Talking about Twister, a great movie, 1996. Bill
Paxton. Put the ETH logo in there. Come on, BJ.
It's great, great movie. That was actually really good CGI at the time that they had a cow go around in a circle there. But Tornado Cash announced just today that they're developing a new tool developed by the government, the U.S. Office of Foreign Asset Control, the OFAC. OFAC is probably what people are probably saying when they are trying to move this crypto around. It was a chain analysis. Tornado Cash. You put in Ethereum, it mixes it around, it poops it out. But this is only going to affect the app. Essentially, it's only going to affect the front end. This is only going to affect you're going into the website, you put it in, you're logging in. But the smart contract is out there. You can do it on the back end. You're going to need a little bit of programming experience. So this isn't shutting down these wallets, but they're sanctioning certain wallets that they are tying to the Ronin hack or tying to any kind of a malfeasance going around globally here. And they're tying that Ronin hack to the North Korean government. So, still a fog of war going on, as I like to say. So, let's wait for the facts to actually be verified here. But they're freezing accounts and the government's stepping in and saying, hey, Tornado Cash, we need you to blacklist these wallets. And they're saying, we certainly will. But again, only on the front end. Now, Factor, do you think that, blocking these addresses are really doing anything? Or do you think that, they're just going to move it around to a different address, then try. I mean, how fast can, they really blacklist these wallets? You move it to, you write it in a smart contract where you bounce it in one wallet and then put in Tornado Cash all in one block. So, I mean, is this really effective?
So they're just going to make people hire devs to explain to them how to do this. So I'm not a programmer, but I will say this. A lot of people saying that, okay, you could just put them in a different wallet and just easily bypass this. But I'm pretty sure they can't be that stupid. I'm pretty sure there's a way to actually watch the transaction go to another wallet so you can blacklist the other wallet as well. If anything, it will definitely slow things down, or at least give it will stop the people that are not that takey. It will, how can I put this? It will make it will shrink the people that can actually do it. Let's put it that way. Of course, there's ways around it. There's always ways around it. But yeah, I think it's more of it's more of a concept play where they're trying to get things done so people can get used to the idea, so they can get it out to more things, more wallets, and so on. Part of this whole regulation thing that's going on, and they might be using that, or that could be a step to that direction. But it is too early to tell. And again, I'm not a programmer. I don't have that kind of experience, at least not that advanced experience to actually know how this can actually stop or not stop this process.
Yeah, and I don't know if you try to do it in the same block, would they be able to block it? I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure if you just try to send it via just a hey, I'm just going to put ETH here, then maybe try to click over there. Yeah, probably a lot easier than if you write out a smart contract where it's all in one block.
But the problem is, DZ, if this is allowed, or if this is done and people get used to it, it can't be taken to new levels and get it done to more people that are not from North Korea and so on. So
well,
it is something to look at. Yeah,
that is a good point. Now, Taco, I kind of want on that point. Is this a slippery slope, kind of like how he's alluding? Do you see this, right now it's North Korean hackers. Can you see it like, oh, your social credit score is low, or, oh, we didn't like this tweet that you made or this Facebook post? Can you see this going down, a dark path?
Well, that brings in the ESG, environmental, social governance that was being pushed like 8 months ago. I mean, it's still something on their radar. I definitely think it is better for the whole crypto space to get ahead of these hackers and at least try to stop them, because there's two types of hackers. The white hat hackers who are doing good. They're trying to spot these issues before it becomes a humongous hack and $60 million is gone. So at least they're trying. And I believe that people in the crypto industry, the developers, all these industries that are trying to get exposure to crypto, they're some of the smartest people in the world. The most they have the most initiative, the people that are trying to make the space better. So I feel like if they actually hire white hackers to go in to audit the contracts, to make sure that there is no backdoor, you can't do this in the first place, or if you can, at least reward the person that finds it. That I feel will make the space better as a whole. And like the guy from Shark Tank, he was at Bitcoin Miami talking about regulation.
Kevin O'Leary.
That's what's going to bring all this money into the market. It's smaller in institutions right now, but once you get the trillions of dollars in, that's when we're going to see the parabolic moves, and the projects that are the smart contracts, the Ethereums, the Binance, the XRPs, even Wax. I mean, all these work, and it just needs the users and the money inflows.
All right. Well, you said Wax, so I got to bring it to Stache now. Do you think that OFAC is, I just like saying that, the OFAC here. Do you think that the OFAC is going to get a little taste of power and perhaps, try to push a Gensler, push a Yellen, push a Biden administration official for even more power? Or is this something, do you see a Senator Palpatine situation maybe arising here?
Are you legit asking me if government organizations want more power? Is that literally the question you're asking?
Ending with lightning bolts coming out of their hands.
I mean, that I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. Of course, that's what all governments want. every government out there, no matter what they say or what they're doing, they always want more power. They're trying to consolidate more power into their grasp. That is literally the play of governments around the world. That is what governments exist for. The more power they have, the more control they have. And we're starting to see that happen more and more across the globe. We're giving up control and freedom for safety, which is a crock of shit. There is no true safety out there, but the government knows that, and they use that against us. They use it as an advantage. And so, yeah, we're of course we're going to see that. This is an organization that could have some pretty massive power. We talk about the ability right now. They say, okay, this is how it starts. Well, we got to make sure the bad guys, these super, the ultimate power.
That was good. That was good.
We got to make sure the
BJ.
bad guys don't get to be able to use these transactions or these services, and that's where it starts. And then then you see something like what we had here recently, where Canada was saying, hey, no, we're going to start freezing your accounts if you're sending Bitcoin to these truckers because they're terrorists. And then the line starts getting blurred, and it gets pushed back and pushed back and pushed back until it's DZ that can't get a damn transaction.
Yeah, and you know what? All I did was wear a black hat. I'm not a black hat.
There you go. That's it,
man.
man.
I'm innocent.
It
wasn't me.
You know that.
It was.
If you're wearing a black hat, that means you're a terrorist in 2032.
Yeah, and back, 1932, you're a terrorist if you're twirling your mustache, But now, things change. The world evolves here. Sin City Crypto, as we, get these government officials, they're getting more sophisticated with regulation. They're getting more sophisticated with the space. We caught them, kind of sounding a little bit smarter when they're talking about blockchain, except for, of course, Miss Warren, maybe she's still got some steps to learn. But can Tornado Cash survive this regulatory environment that we're moving towards? I mean, can you see Tornado Cash being around 2 years from now, 4 years from now?
Tornado Cash is a dead project. I mean, I don't know what's a worse project, Tornado Cash or Sharknado. Pull it up, baby. And and with Sharknado, you got my screen?
But that's Sharknado
with
too,
Sharknado.
The second one's better.
The Sharknado 1 was pretty good, man. I'm just saying Sharknado 1 was not too bad.
It was plausible.
2 definitely dropped the ball. But no. On a serious note, talking about just the mixer services in general, everybody wants to point the finger, especially Elizabeth Warren and all of these other politicians, about how you're going to circumvent sanctions. They're sanctioning billionaires. And on a global liquidity for all of the mixer services is a $30 million. That is per Jonathan Levin, who is the founder of Chainalysis. That was out of his deposition when he was in Congress in front of Elizabeth Warren, and that which was a viral YouTube video where Elizabeth Warren wasn't letting him talk. But either way, very scarce liquidity. You can't move much. Even outside of it, going through the Tumblr service, it is still traceable on the back end, not all the time. So I think this is a non-story. And not to mention Chainalysis is also the oracle that's used by Tornado Cash. Now, does that mean does that mean there's no significance to them blocking addresses? I mean, I guess there is, but I'm sure that you can circumvent it. But I'm sure there's a lot of people that are using the office or that are been sanctioned by the Office of Foreign Assets Control, also known as OFAC. But the block wallets have nothing left to say besides OFAC when they get their.
I agree. I agree. And hats off to the intern who came up with that acronym, or whoever let that one slide. I'm sure it came across someone's desk and they're like, I'm gonna let it go. Yeah, So hats off to whoever. There's heroes, even in our government. All right, well, let's move on and let's talk a little Sega. We're talking about Sega Genesis. Remember how excited you were, all you old heads, when the first time you saw Sega? Like, oh my God, look at Sonic and look at the fat guy, robot guy that I have to fight. But they are announcing a 5-year plan for the metaverse. They want to create a super game. I think essentially kind of like maybe a meta, kind of like how the Oculus is having an ecosystem for other games, other companies to come in and work with them with the Web3 tech and using these, AAA titles, AAA IP that they have. The Sega's producer is saying it is a natural extension for the future of gaming, and that'll expand into new areas such as cloud gaming and NFTs. I was looking at some of the stuff, they've had the CEO, the president say, look, we don't want to do anything with, NFTs or Web3. And then a week later, they're trademarking Sega NFT. So what they're saying and what they're working on in the background sometimes are misaligned, and that might go to other gaming companies. Maybe an Epic is secretly working on some, a Bungie is secretly working on something. So we don't know. They have Sonic, Frogger, Warhammer, Alien versus Predator, Virtua Fighter. I remember that. Virtua Tennis, Virtua Volleyball, really good Sega games. I remember the Dreamcast, good stuff on there. Now, Stache, you're kind of one of the crypto gaming gurus. You're the Gary V. No, Gary V is the Stache of regular NFTs, but you're Stache when it comes to gaming. You are you've been in it for a long time. You've been telling people to get into it for years and years. Those who listen, probably sitting on some fat stacks that they have stashed here. Now, what is your take on the Sega ecosystem? I mean, do you think that, we've kind of talked about this before. Is it going to be an upstart, you never really heard of? Or is it going to be one of these old premier companies, injecting their capital into this? How do you feel about their odds of success here?
Yeah, first off, I was the NFT guy before Gary Vee knew what the hell an NFT was.
Yeah, he was selling wine back then. He was just a wino. No, I love Gary Vee.
Yeah, exactly. He was still hitting up garage sales and shit, man. And I'm like, hey, I'm over on this cutting edge shit. But when it comes down to what Sega's been doing, you're right, man. They've done a kind of a bait and switch with us, and they're saying, hey, we're not doing anything here, but we really are, but we're not telling you. Do I think that it's going to be a big company? I think every major company at this point is looking into this. I think they're looking into NFTs. I think they're looking into crypto gaming, into how they can incorporate blockchain technology into what they're doing. Now, a lot of them don't want to make big public announcements about it because they've seen the blowback by the companies that have the balls to make the announcements and actually start experimenting like Ubisoft has done. They're really leading the way, even though they got a lot of blowback. Traditional gamers weren't very happy. There was no real reason for them not to be. That's their fault. But I think bigger companies saw this and they saw, hey, well, we'll let Ubisoft kind of make those mistakes and get the blowback. We'll do it kind of secretly in the background. And I think Sega's kind of on that side of they're straddling that fence. Now, with the power they have behind them as a company, I do think they can push this. I mean, we've already seen Atari do kind of something similar. They're not as big of a company, but they have that legacy, right? They have that legacy of the Atari brand, and so does Sega. Sega's kind of, I wouldn't say they're at the forefront of gaming at this point anymore, but they have that legacy brand, so it's something they can definitely build upon. And so I think for companies like Sega or Atari to step in now and say, yes, we're working on this. Yes, we're going to get something going. It may put them more towards the top here when they actually hit on something really good or really big here first, before like a Nintendo or an Xbox or a PlayStation decide to start incorporating these things. Some of these big boys, they're going to come up last. They're not going to be the ones at the forefront of innovating. It's going to be the smaller companies. They're going to do this. Now, is it going to be like a non-known company? I think at this point, no, I don't think it will be. I think it'll probably end up being one of these mid-sized companies that wants to kind of make a comeback here. But you never know. We saw some really big companies, gaming companies, come out of the woodworks with one really good game. Epic just crushing it, and other games like CD Projekt Red, where they come up with one really massive game and that puts them on the scene. And that next game will be a crypto game. I can almost guarantee you this.
I actually 100% agree. I think it will be a mid-sized game as well. I think EA probably too hard on the corporate level to make a leap like that. When you get smaller. You still have capital, but you're not so small where you can't get anything accomplished. Now, Crypto Factor, let's speculate here. What kind of strategy do you think they're going to take when it comes to the blockchain? Do you think that they're going to do like a ETH layer 2, an Immutable X, a Polygon, or do you think they'll like a Solana for a different L1 or maybe even a Wax? Or do you think that they'll go the Facebook route, with Diem or their coins that they're trying to do in-house? Do you think they build a blockchain, off a fork, build their own, ecosystem? Are they just going to piggyback on, maybe something already out there?
Okay, so I it's funny because I actually grew up with a Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive in Europe, by the way. First of all, I just want to mention something that you need to look between the lines. So with Sega, the CEO did not say they're not interested in NFTs. They said that nothing is concrete, which pretty much means they're looking at it, right? And I agree with Stache that every single company out there is looking at it, whether they would be they would be business suicidal not to be, right? It's the future, whether you believe it or not. They at least have teams that they pay to look at it, to do research, to see what's going to happen, to have a plan B, a contingency plan, and so on, depending on which direction it goes. Now, as for Sega, so are they going to use their own blockchain, or are they going to use another blockchain? That's the main question that we're asking here. And I think it all comes down to control. So let's re-ask that question right now. Is Sega wanting to get exposure, do a marketing play to work with another project, or do they want to control the actual plays? Do they want it to be their own sort of meta, their own metaverse, or do they want to be part of somewhere else? Or do they want to bring companies to them, or are they already working secretly with other companies behind the door where they're already doing something together? We don't know this. And I do believe that it's either going to be the third, where they're already working with other companies to do something together, or they're going to be building their own blockchain, their own thing, so they can have control and so that they can be on top and introduce what they want and not let in what they don't want to let in. That is my humble opinion on the matter.
Yeah. All right. Now, Sin City Crypto, let's also, do a little speculation here. We have these gaming companies, they're utilizing Web3 tech, they're utilizing crypto, but it's mostly staying in the PC ecosystem. You see a little exposure on Steam and such, but we don't see it on Xbox Live and we don't see it on PlayStation Network. As these games, there's cross compatibility. They'll be on a PC and Xbox and PlayStation, sometimes even Switch. When we have these games finally start to utilize some, Web3 capability, some token mechanism, some sort of, ecosystem of a crypto, will Xbox Live and PlayStation Network eventually, open up an avenue of, maybe connecting a wallet or, maybe integrating some sort of Web3 functionality here?
Yeah, that's going to be the natural evolution of this entire ecosystem. First, you're going to go to PC gaming. That's because blockchain lives on the internet and you access it through your PC. And as it becomes more integratable with your video game software, with your Xbox, your PlayStation, it's gonna be a lot more functionality is gonna go there, especially if Microsoft and Sony get into it. You mentioned earlier Epic Games and Sony are working together with Legos with Legoland to building out a metaverse. So you are seeing this super saturation of all these different companies getting into the metaverse. And I think it's a little overblown. I think a lot of it is a money grab, essentially like a land grab. I think the space is still super early. I haven't even identified any metaverse projects I think are gonna essentially take the lead. I mean, I believe in the metaverse. It is the future. The projects that are out there now are falling short. If you look up metaverse, you look up Sandbox, you look up Decentraland, and on YouTube, all you see is a bunch of thumbnail pics of everybody wearing a VR headset. But yet there's no functionality with the VR headset in any of those listed games. And so I think it's going to take one of these big AAA franchises with a ton of capital behind them to integrate the metaverse in how it's supposed to be in an immersive environment. Because as of right now, it's not on Xbox. It's not on Sony. Right now, it lives on a PC. It's basically an open world RPG that doesn't let you kill anybody. It's pretty lackluster. And then they're just monetizing T-shirts and shoes. Like, I want this place to evolve. Now, Sega, I got a soft spot in my heart for Sega. I mean, Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, the Sonic Hedgehog movie 1, that was pretty good. I mean, it broke out box offices in 2020 with $58 million. Now that was a good release, but not to be undone by the Sonic 2 movie, which is about to set records for the biggest box office opening for a video game company. So if they just monetize Sonic, and instead of building the metaverse, why don't they just do what they did when they exited the Sega platform? Instead of building Sega Genesis and adding some trash ass Sega CD ROM drive thing on the side, just take your characters that you can monetize, put it into a blockchain by somebody that knows what they're doing, and then let that thing run free. That's what I say.
Don't you talk bad about Sega CD, okay? Panzer Dragoon Saga was the it was all right. Anyways, now
terrible video game system.
Taco, he brought up some examples of Sega still has a powerful IP. They're still releasing movies, record breaking, especially post pandemic. Pretty good numbers for this ecosystem. Highest grossing video game movie opening I guess ever. So they still have the credentials in the space. People still has that name recognition. But when it comes to gaming, we're not really seeing a connect there. People aren't going out and buying, they're not Sega's on back order like there is with the new Xbox or the new PlayStation. But, and then the Genesis release, I think Sonic came out in 91. The Mega Drive, I think Factor called it, that was released in 88. It was a long time ago when Sega was on top of the gaming space. Can integration into Web3 put them on top of the gaming space with the likes of, a Halo, a Fortnite, a Grand Theft Auto?
Well, I was born in 1992, so it was before my time. I was a baby when it came out, pretty much. So I do see Web3 integration being huge. I mean, I think you and I actually talked about integrating these NFTs into games and using like your Bored Ape to be like Sonic the Hedgehog or something like that. So that's a way that these it's like Sega can bring in NFTs that are already created and not just kind of close it into their own, I guess, NFT ecosystem. But as far as building, is it going to be a new console? Are they making their new console? Is it going to be web-based? Those are questions I want to know before I even play any of them.
Well, let's just say they just stay a game company. Can they compete with the GTAs and the Halos and whatever the Call of Duties? Can they, get equal sales or be in the same ballpark as those other gaming companies?
It's going to be hard. I mean, everyone knows Call of Duty. Everyone knows Grand Theft Auto.
Well, you're young and everybody knows Sonic.
What I'm saying,
okay. I'm sorry.
I've heard of Sonic, but I've never played it. I'm sure it's a fun
Remove
game.
Points. Let's rug pull all those points here. All right.
So why not just implement what's already there into something that they're trying to create? Like a Web3 integration would be amazing. All these crypto people that have their wallets, they know the technology. They can just connect to the sites, connect to the game, earn in the game, and it's paid right to their wallet. Nothing Web 2 based. That's old school. Let's go to new
old school. God, you're so young. Never played Sonic. What are you gonna do, a Fortnite dance if you won? But you didn't win, and it looks like Sin City Crypto is the winner. Just edged past Stache there at the end. I think it was the facts about the Sonic. When you had the soft spot in your heart for Sega, that spoke to me. I gave you an extra point there at the end. But Sin City, feel free, leave us with some parting thoughts. Take us into the weekend with some wisdom here.
All right. One, I'd like to give a shout out to my producer, all of the crypto fam. I couldn't have done it without you guys. Also, God, Jesus, mean a lot to me. Let's get over 40,000. And if you haven't watched the Sin City Crypto, we do a live show Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Vegas time. We got the youngest new community out there. We're like the Leonardo DiCaprio. We're that new money. We're that Great Gatsby out here. We're that new money nobody likes. So,
yeah. And shout out to New Money Gang, aka Meta Money, Frankie Candles, and of course, make sure you're subscribed to NFT Alpha Show. And that's all we got. Have a great weekend, Bit Squad. Easy out.